Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Friday 28th March 2025 and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. U.S. policies which are likely to affect the Caribbean addressed in Jamaica between key players in areas of life and death for the region. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio landed in Jamaica and got down to business right away as part of a whirlwind 2-day visit to the region, which will take him to Guyana and Suriname in the south before returning to Washington on Thursday. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Stuart Young and CARICOM Chair and Prime Minister of Barbados Mia Amor Motley will also have afternoon meetings with Rubio. Kalisha Williams of CVM News tells us more.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in Jamaica as part of a 2-day official visit. A release from Jamaica House notes that it is aimed at strengthening regional cooperation. It adds that Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Secretary Rubio will engage in bilateral discussions with a focus on issues surrounding illegal immigration, combating transnational organized crime, and enhancing economic partnerships with Caribbean nations. Another key topic on his agenda is strengthening regional actions to address Haiti's ongoing political and security challenges, according to a brief statement from the U.S. Department of State. Mr. Rubio is the 5th U.S. Secretary of State to visit Jamaica in the past 14 years. This following visits by Hillary Clinton in January 2010 and June 2011, Rex Tillerson in February 2018, Mike Pompeo in January 2020, and Anthony Blinken in May 2024 for the Haiti-related Kingston talks.
Jamaica and the United States just made a bold pledge. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has described his high-level bilateral talks with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio as a game-changer for Jamaica's future. In this update, we share the takeaways that could impact every Jamaican at home and abroad. These are the excerpts of Prime Minister Holness as he shared his insights and next steps from this critical diplomatic engagement.
Our nations have long been united by a common commitment to freedom, prosperity, and security, and your visit today reaffirms this bond. Today, we engaged in productive and constructive discussions focused on strengthening this partnership and expanding opportunities for collaboration. During our meeting, we addressed several critical areas of cooperation. Security, one major area. We reaffirmed our commitment to enhancing cooperation in combating transnational crime, ensuring the collective safety of our citizens, and mutually secured borders. We discussed a global war on gangs, and there is already significant policy alignment with both countries in this regard. The United States has been instrumental in supporting Jamaica's efforts to bolster its marine domain awareness and intelligence surveillance capabilities, which are crucial in our fight against organized criminal networks. We discussed expanded and repurposing development assistance towards our shared goals, including security. This will exponentially expand our cooperation in fighting lottery scammers, transnational organized crimes, trafficking in guns, and building safer communities. We are committed in ensuring our partnership delivers results in driving down criminality and trafficking in this hemisphere. On Haiti, we look forward to continued partnership with the United States as we seek to work with the Haitian leadership and stakeholders to address the ongoing crises in Haiti. The extraordinary humanitarian, civil, and national security challenges in Haiti pose an acute threat to Haitians, to regional stability, and indeed to its close neighbors, including Jamaica. We agreed that we must do everything we can to stabilize the security situation in Haiti so that they are better able to build capacity and address their political and humanitarian challenges. On trade, recognizing the United States as Jamaica's largest trading partner, with bilateral trade surpassing $3 billion in 2023, we explored avenues to further expand trade relations between our two countries. The renewal of the Caribbean Basin Economic Recovery Act was raised as a matter of critical importance to trade for ourselves and for all CARICOM member states. We also explored means to attract increased U.S. investment into Jamaica's emerging sectors. With our stable macroeconomic framework and positive growth trajectory, Jamaica is open for enhanced U.S. investment across multiple sectors, including energy and nearshoring. In terms of logistics, the discussion touched on working with U.S. companies to leverage Jamaica's location as a premier transshipment hub in the Americas, and this will further bolster Jamaica's work as a major logistics hub for global trade. On labor issues, the United States and Jamaica have enjoyed an 80-year-old relationship in terms of bilateral labor agreements, where we provide short-term skilled and semi-skilled labor in sectors such as agriculture and hospitality. We discuss ways to expand and enhance these agreements, including skills development partnerships to upskill and reskill Jamaican workers. On our travel advisory, we discussed significant progress that we're making in bringing down all major crimes, and that Jamaica today is safer than at any time in the last 2 decades. In fact, crimes against visitors represent less than 0.01% of the more than 3 million visitors to Jamaica annually. We are committed to working collaboratively to ensure that travel advisories reflect the current realities and promote travel to Jamaica. I'm confident that the dialogue initiated today will lead to tangible outcomes, benefiting both our peoples and contributing to mutual stability and prosperity. Indeed, our concern for enhanced regional and hemispheric security and prosperity was recognized as a shared one. I wish my CARICOM colleagues who are now in Kingston productive meetings as well with the Secretary this afternoon. Jamaica remains committed to fostering a partnership with the United States, one grounded in mutual respect, shared values, and a collective ambition for stronger and a more resilient future.
In the meantime, tariffs' impact on local construction industry in the Bahamas under review. Devontae Hanna of ZNS News reports.
It's a policy being debated thousands of miles away, but no doubt one that can hit workers and consumers here at home. A proposed U.S. tariff of up to $1.5 million per port call on Chinese-built ships is sparking an alarm across the region, with experts warning of a 60% increase in the cost of shipping. Well, tonight we're learning from the president of the Bahamian Contractors Association, Leonard Sands, that this concerning new fee could escalate the cost of construction by up to 25%. And even worse news coming in tonight, that can lead to severe cuts in the construction sector at rates only last seen in some of the country's most dreadful economic times in recent years.
I think we could be looking at a place that we've not seen in the last 5-7 years, post-story and post the COVID-19, where we could start to see job cuts if this really pans out the way how President Trump is suggesting.
That suggestion is being discussed in a hearing at the United States International Trade Commission. Bahamian Tim Martin, CEO of Tropical Shipping, is also testifying, warning stakeholders of the potential impact it could have for consumers in the region. And in a country heavily reliant on imports, it means items like plywood, cement, steel, and even tiles can all be impacted.
It's safe to say across the board we can expect the cost of construction materials, if they are on ships that were made in China, will have automatically off the top a 25% increase across the board.
The proposed tariffs could be implemented by early April. San says not much can be done to prepare. Consumers then should brace for impact.
The end consumer is going to expect to receive a 25% increase in cost, which, again, like stated before, is going to make it much more difficult to build houses, improve buildings, and generally make the cost of doing construction more expensive.
Makushla, we know that the USTR will hold another closed meeting throughout the week in Washington, D.C., but we're here in the Caribbean, and we understand that Caribbean stakeholders are making the case on why the region should be carved out. Of course, this follows the warnings from SuperValu founder Rupert Roberts that inflation can increase by 25%. And keeping this in mind, Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis last week pledged to adjust policies to ensure Bahamians are able to adjust easily. He told reporters the main focus is to ensure a diversification of trade, ultimately eliminating the country's dependency on one single economic power. Makushla.
Well, thanks, Devontae. Not only here, the media, all of us are watching this developing story.
Foreign Affairs Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, E.P. Chet Green, has issued another stark warning of the impact that proposed U.S. policies would have on Antigua and Barbuda and the rest of the region. These include a plan to levy steep charges on Chinese-built or operated ships docking at U.S. ports. Minister Green believes the United States is disrespecting CARICOM governments by not having all heads present for key discussions with Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Jamaica. He spoke exclusively with ABS News on Tuesday afternoon. Garfield Burford of ABS News reports.
Antigua and Barbuda will not be directly engaged in the talks with Secretary Rubio, but the issues to be discussed by the U.S.'s top diplomat have a direct bearing on this country.
Issues, for example, of the charge on Chinese-built ships, that would have devastating effects and consequences on our life in Antigua, Barbuda, and the Caribbean. I don't want to conflate this conversation to the Caribbean, but rather restrict it. In as much as I'm a Caribbean person, I want to restrict the conversation to its impact and effects on Antigua, Barbuda.
The foreign minister, like the prime minister and port manager before him, explains what this would mean for consumers if the U.S. goes ahead with this proposal from its trade representative.
If we're called upon to pay additional fees per container, it means the cost that will be passed on to consumers. And already we know that one of government's biggest challenges is to fight this, imported inflation. And that's another tier of importation of inflation into the country.
The minister says trade tensions stoked by tariffs and counter-tariffs are also a major cause for concern to Antigua and Barbuda. The minister provides an example of the impact on local businesses.
I would have given the example on a previous program of a young man who makes sea moss in Antigua, bottles sea moss. His bottles are done in China. If those bottles made in China are subjected to increased tariff, it means he will have to increase the price of his sea moss. Now, if that sea moss or the bottle importation to Antigua is further compounded by tariffs or levies on Chinese vessels, this young man's business is literally done.
The minister is also frank in his response to another policy position by the Trump administration.
Then we had this most senseless one, and I make no apology for deeming it senseless, about countries trading with Venezuela. In oil and oil products being subjected to a 25% or some tariff or markup of on importation of U.S. goods. No, that means that we're literally being made into failed states. And I mean bare brutal here. If these things are not relooked, if they're not rescinded, if they're put in effect, it will have catastrophic effects on life and living in these countries.
Minister Green says the entire Caribbean civilization is at a crossroads, and that's why he wanted the US's top diplomats to engage with all CARICOM countries. Only some will be participating in the talks this week.
I think the U.S. government, to put it mildly, is disrespecting Caribbean governments by not having that level of discourse at the level of heads. That is, have each head of each Caribbean jurisdiction present at this meeting. But I will have to trust the CARICOM negotiating team.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.